Leslie here. I've been thinking a lot this week, as you know from these podcasts. I love to think, I love to deepen into my inquiry, but my inquiry, especially as a parent, was where I was going to spend my energy and my time. And from the early parts, because my family did not understand how I was parenting, the culture didn't understand, and most people weren't very interested in how I was parenting because it triggered a lot of discomfort inside of them. And so at the beginning stages, I kept wanting to go in and convince people, right? I wanted to fight for my way and what I was doing. And I noticed I was spending a lot of energy doing that. And the more I did that, the more ingrained they got. They seemed to think that they had more power because they've been doing it longer and, had more results. And so I got very, very clear at one point that I wasn't really interested in going into the culture or my family dynamic and trying to change that from inside. Because, first of all, it wasn't working. And secondly, it took a lot of my energy away from creating the culture and the environment that I wanted in my home. So I like to say I created my own little parenting pod in my home. And I began to offer what I was learning and created these pods, which I do now, my small care groups, where I could join with other parents that were interested in creating a more parallel culture where our higher values could be lived. So, the highest value in the old culture that I came from was that good behavior was the gold standard. And so everyone was working through control, through punishing, through consequencing, through all of that to get that goal of the good behavior. Well, when I got clear that that wasn't really what I was seeking because I had really good behavior my whole life, I was a pleaser, I was a good girl, and yet internally I was pretty insecure. And internally, I didn't feel much joy in who I was because I spent most of my time externalizing and trying to please others. So I began to question, well, okay, if that was what I was brought up in and that was the high value, I wanted to explore something deeper. So instead of having good behavior as the gold standard, which was the culture that I grew up in, I moved toward the higher value for me was the emotional well being of myself and my child. Now, this went way against my culture. And when I tried to go within my culture and share that, I got knocked down a lot because often a child, well, from the view that I see, the child acts out their feelings, meaning their feelings drive the behavior. So when a child is feeling powerless or helpless, or you are feeling powerless or helpless or rejected or abandoned, most likely your behavior is going to express out in a way in the traditional culture where it's going to be seen as bad behavior. I really want you to hear that. That's what the perception is going to be, that you have control over your behavior. You need to stop that behavior. And it is your job to behave in a way that makes people comfortable versus deal with or be supported in feeling those feelings that are driving the behavior. So I got clear I wanted to do that. Now, this sounds like beautiful and wonderful and conscious, and yet I came up against the stumbling block that I didn't know how to do that inside of myself. So I was trying to give my daughter something that actually I didn't have any experience in. And clearly that was not working. So I began to dig really deeply into how am I going to create an environment for myself? How am I going to create a space where I can counter instinctually move back toward those early feelings that I struggled with, especially rejection and abandonment, and that I acted out through my behavior and got in a lot of trouble for? And so this began to be my curiosity. I mean, it's like, how am I going to do this? And it might be your curiosity too, if you're listening to this podcast and if you're interested in parenting or creating a parenting pod in your home. And I want to give you a little bit of a warning. It can be quite triggering and intense for folks that are still living in the paradigm that good behavior is the gold standard. And again, I'm not here to judge that paradigm. I just recognize that that paradigm was not working for me and what I was seeking, which was to feel good inside my own being, to act from a place of my high values and love from my being versus trying to please others with my good behavior, which left me often feeling lonely and like I was always the good girl and I always felt like the rug was getting pulled out, that I wasn't able to get what I needed. So in parenting, in Pure Joy parenting, we look at what is driving that behavior. And first of all, we look at it in ourselves. And this can be the hardest piece. If you haven't picked up a copy of my Safe Seat process, go on my website. You can get the free 5-day video series that I do on the Safe Seat and start a Safe Seat practice. Now, what this is it's creating an environment for you to where you can go when those intense feelings come up instead of acting out or acting in and self-aggressing on yourself. This was the first step for me in creating a new environment. And it has taken a lot of time. It's taken a lot of support. That's why I offer support groups, as I said, like my Pure Joy Care groups that you can find out about on my website. They are the most important pieces that I found for myself and for others because we can come together and create this parallel kind of universe, as I say, where we love ourselves and love all that is arising instead of spend most of our energy and our time trying to control the discomfort through our behavior. So if you're fighting really, really hard within your partnership or within your family or within your culture, trying to go in there and change it, God bless you. It's because it's hard. And if that's where your energy is and you feel good about it, stay with it. And if you want to make a shift and a change and where you bring your focus and what you are for instead of what you're against, I'm supporting you in this podcast to create that what you're for in your home. I mean, it's a perfect opportunity in the times that we're in because everybody's coming back home and we're not looking outside as much. And so we have this opportunity to create these little parenting pods, as I call them, within our family, within our larger environment, meaning like in our community, and then bringing it into a fuller form in our parallel world, as we say. And you will find those people. I know you have. You're here. You'll find those people that you can align with, that you can feel connected with. And, well, as I say, always start to trust yourself more than your conditioning. And that's the hardest part because that conditioning is strong. That's, who we believe we are. We live out of it. The culture presents it all the time. The books present it. So learning to come back in and trust your own wisdom. I like to just follow my heart. And I like to follow where it feels good. And as I say, if it feels good to go into the culture and to try to change it, and your heart leads you there, follow your heart. And if your heart leads you to creating something new, to creating a culture within your home, keep reaching out for support. Find others that are doing the same thing because together, I'm telling you, we have a lot of power in our togetherness, in seeing our high values and working in that field with each other to create a new world. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parenting Paused. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and share it with your mama friends. You can also leave a review wherever you listen, which will support getting the Pure Joy message out. Come on over to the Pure Joy Parenting Practice Facebook page or join me on Instagram to hear more. And don't forget to download your free copy of the Safe Seat course on the Pure Joy website. And while there, check out the offerings page to go deeper in the Pure Joy work.